They can't control what they can't read. And that is the truth most men discover too late, after they've already been studied, mapped, and quietly influenced by people who never raised their voice, never showed their hand, and never made their intentions obvious. Because control does not always look like force. Sometimes it looks like understanding. Sometimes it looks like someone knowing exactly how you will react before you even realize you are reacting. And in that moment, the game is already over. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology gave it names. He understood that power does not belong to the loudest man, the strongest man, or even the most confident man. Power belongs to the one who cannot be predicted, the one who cannot be mapped, the one whose internal world remains hidden, shifting, and out of reach. Because once someone can read you, they can anticipate you. And once they can anticipate you, they can position themselves ahead of you. They can guide your reactions without you realizing it. They can provoke you, calm you, influence you, and ultimately control you, all without ever appearing to do so. So the real question is not how to become stronger. The real question is this: how do you become unreadable? Over the next few minutes, you're not going to hear motivational advice. You're going to step into a deeper level of psychological awareness. 7 principles that restructure how you operate internally, so that externally, no one can get a clean read on you. This is not about becoming cold. This is not about becoming emotionless. This is about becoming strategically invisible where it matters most. The first secret is something almost no one practices consciously, yet it changes everything the moment you begin to apply it. Most people believe they are reacting to reality, but they are not. They are reacting to interpretations, instant, unconscious meanings assigned to events before logic ever gets involved. Someone speaks sharply, and your mind labels it as disrespect. Someone ignores you, and your mind labels it as rejection. These labels happen so fast that you mistake them for truth. But here's the dangerous part. Once that label is assigned, your emotional response is already decided. And once your emotional response is decided, your behavior follows automatically. You are no longer choosing, you are executing a script. And anyone who understands that script can play you. The first shift is this: you begin to interrupt meaning itself. When something happens, instead of accepting the first interpretation your mind produces, you pause, not outwardly, not dramatically, but internally. You ask a quiet question: what is actually happening here, stripped of my interpretation? Not what it feels like, not what it reminds you of, just what is objectively occurring. That small shift creates distance, and in that distance, something powerful happens. The emotional chain weakens, the automatic reaction slows. You are no longer inside the moment, you are observing it. And observation is where control begins. Because once you can see the mechanism, you are no longer trapped inside it. The second secret is more subtle, but far more powerful over time. Most people live their lives from inside their experiences. Every interaction feels personal. Every comment feels directed. Every shift in behavior from others feels like it says something about them. But this is the most vulnerable position you can occupy. Because when everything is personal, everything can affect you. And when everything can affect you, anyone can move you. The shift here is not emotional suppression. It is positional awareness. You stop experiencing interactions as the center of them, and instead begin observing them as if you were slightly outside of them, not disconnected, but elevated. When someone speaks, you are not just hearing their words, you are watching their behavior. You are noticing patterns, tone, timing, intention, emotional leakage. You begin to see not just what they are saying, but why they are saying it. An insult becomes data, a compliment becomes positioning, silence becomes information, and suddenly the entire dynamic changes. Because when you are inside the experience, you react, but when you are observing the experience, you choose, and choice is the beginning of unpredictability. The third secret is where most people become impossible to read. Human beings are pattern recognition machines. We are constantly scanning others, trying to build a stable image of who they are. Are they confident? Are they insecure? Are they reactive? Are they calm? Once that image is built, we use it to predict behavior. And prediction is power. So if you always respond the same way, if your emotional patterns are consistent, if your reactions are visible and linear, people will learn you faster than you realize. They will begin to anticipate you. And once that happens, you are no longer operating freely. You are operating inside their expectations. To break this, you must become layered. Not fake, not inconsistent in a chaotic way, but internally complex. You learn to hold multiple states at once. Calm but observant, engaged but detached, present but not invested. On the surface, you appear stable, but beneath that surface, there is movement, there is analysis, there is flexibility. And because people can only see the surface, every conclusion they draw about you is incomplete. They think they understand you, but they don't. And that gap between what they think and what actually is, that gap is where your power lives. The fourth secret is about something most people give away constantly without realizing it: your reactions. Every reaction you display is information. Every smile, every shift in tone, every moment of tension, it all reveals something about your internal world, what affects you, what matters to you, what gets under your skin. And once someone knows that, they have access. Most people react freely, automatically, without filtering. They believe authenticity means expressing everything they feel in real time. But that is not authenticity. That is exposure. The shift here is simple, but difficult to master. You begin to treat your reactions as a resource. Not something to suppress, but something to allocate. Before you respond to anything, there is a brief internal check. Is this reaction serving me, or am I serving the situation? If the reaction has value, if it builds connection, communicates strength, or moves something forward, you allow it. If it does not, you let it pass. And when you consistently do this, something changes in how people perceive you. You become harder to read, harder to provoke, harder to influence, because the usual feedback loop they rely on is gone. They send something out, and nothing comes back. And that absence is deeply unsettling. The fifth secret goes deeper, into memory itself. Most people are not reacting to the present moment. They are reacting to accumulated emotional residue. Old experiences, past insults, previous failures, unresolved tensions. All of it sits beneath the surface, shaping how they interpret and respond to what is happening now. Which means they are not operating freely. They are operating predictably. Because past pain creates patterns, and patterns can be learned. The shift here is not forgetting, it is separating. You begin to distinguish between data and emotion. If someone betrays you, you keep the data. This person has shown a capacity for betrayal, but you release the emotional weight attached to it. You do not replay it. You do not build identity around it. You do not let it shape how you move in unrelated situations. Because the moment emotion attaches itself to memory, it becomes a script, and scripts can be anticipated. When you remove the emotional residue, you become something rare, a person who remembers clearly but reacts freshly. No baggage, no visible patterns, just clean awareness. And that makes you extremely difficult to read. The sixth secret is where strategy becomes visible externally. Most people build a consistent identity. They act the same way in most situations, same tone, same level of engagement, same energy. This feels stable, but stability creates patterns, and patterns create predictability. The shift here is controlled variation. You allow different aspects of yourself to lead in different environments, not randomly, but intentionally. In one setting, you are quiet and observant. In another, you are direct and decisive. With one person, you are warm. With another, you are neutral. All of these are real parts of you, but because they are expressed selectively, no one can form a complete, stable model of who you are. And without that model, they cannot strategize against you. They try one approach, it doesn't work. They try another, it produces a different result. And while they are adjusting, recalibrating, trying to understand you, you are already ahead. The seventh and final secret is the most advanced and the most misunderstood. It is the ability to not participate emotionally at all. Every interaction carries an emotional invitation. Someone brings energy into a space, positive, negative, anxious, dominant, and unconsciously expects you to respond, to match it, to counter it, to engage with it. This is the invisible contract of social interaction, but you are not obligated to sign it. Emotional non-participation is not resistance, it is not suppression, it is not avoidance, it is absence. The energy comes towards you and it finds nothing to attach to. No reaction, no counter, no engagement. And this creates something powerful, an open loop. The other person expects a response. When it does not come, their mind cannot resolve the interaction. They begin to escalate, adjust, reveal more of themselves in an attempt to close the loop. And while they are doing that, you are learning everything without giving anything. You are present but unreachable. And that is a level of control most people will never understand. When you step back and look at all 7 of these principles, one idea sits at the center of all of them. Your emotional core is your most valuable asset. If it is visible, it can be targeted. If it is reactive, it can be manipulated. If it is predictable, it can be controlled. But if it is hidden, fluid, and internally governed, it becomes untouchable. This is not about becoming distant from life. It is not about disconnecting from people. It is about choosing when and how you engage, rather than being pulled into engagement automatically. Most people spend their lives reacting. A few learn to respond. But the rare ones, the ones who move differently, they redesign the system entirely. They are not reacting. They are not even responding. They are operating from a place that others cannot see clearly enough to influence. And that is why they cannot be controlled. Because you cannot control what you cannot read. So as you move forward, don't focus on appearing stronger. Don't focus on suppressing what you feel. Focus on the structure. Focus on the system that produces everything others get to observe. Because once that system is rebuilt, everything changes. Not just how you feel, but how the world interacts with you. And when the world can no longer map you, it can no longer move you. That is the shift. That is the advantage. That is power. If this changed the way you see control, even slightly, then you already understand something most people never will.
Power was never about force. It was never about dominance. It was always about invisibility at the level where people try to reach you. So don't just listen to this. Apply it. Pick one principle. Practice it daily. Watch what changes, not just in you, but how people respond when they can no longer read you. If this gave you clarity, hit the like button. Share it with someone who's still being read, still being triggered, still being controlled without realizing it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because this is where you rebuild how you think, not just what you think. Now, drop this in the comments. Unmapped, unreadable, untouchable. Because that's not who you are yet. That's what you're becoming.